And hello YouTube, this is GSmaniamsmart, and I'm today on a brand new video for Gaming with GS, and today we're going to talk about Guild Wars 2 and the most recently released information on our next big major update, and I am so excited for this update. There are so many cool things coming to Guild Wars 2, and things that we've all been wanting for such a long time now. It seems like our wishes are being granted. But before we get into all the juicy details, I do want to make a quick comment that it does seem like we are getting new episodes every 2 months. Our next big major update will have Living World Season 3 Episode 2 released. If you think back, the last episode that we got, Episode 1, was released late July. This next episode 2 is going to be released late September, September 20th to be exact. That is when everything that we're going to talk about today is going to be released in-game, September 20th. So it does seem like we're on a 2-month time window in between episodes, which I think is a great number to allow the developers to, get this quality content out, because the last episode was really high quality. I hope they continue to do the exact same thing. We have heard some really good things about the content that's coming up that I'll talk about. So if this is a great time window for them, 2 months, and if they can continue to hold up that bar of quality that they had for episode 1, then I think that's just perfectly fine, and I'm completely fine with bi-monthly releases like this. I think it's great. So let's go ahead and get started. The biggest news of all is a brand new map coming to the game. Not only is it a brand new map, though, we are going to a completely new region in Tyria. It's a region that I've wanted to go to for such a long time now. It's a region that a lot of people playing the franchise have wanted to go to. A lot of my friends have asked me, hey, what's down there in that corner of the map? Why can't we go there? I want to go there. What's there? And I've always told them, well, eventually one day ArenaNet will expand the map to that region, hopefully, and well, September 20th will be the day that we head to the Ring of Fire Island chain. That's right, that fiery dark area that you see in the bottom left corner of the map next to the Ruins of Ore, that's the place where we're going next. It's gonna be really cool and interesting, and the new map is actually called the Ember Bay. Now, if you've played Guild Wars 1 Prophecies, you know that the last time we actually encountered this map was in that franchise. This is the first time we were actually going to this region since Prophecies, which is really exciting because a lot of time has passed. Mordramoth and as well as Zaitan, all of that has passed. A lot of activity with these dragons occurred in that area. So with all the time passing, with 2 elder dragons destroyed near that area, you can only imagine how the area must have been affected. Now, this map and everything else we're talking about in today's video was released at PAX, and there were a lot of people who went there, including very popular MMO websites that went there and journalists who reported on the news. So we've heard lots of positive feedback from everyone that the maps are just beautifully done. The maps are gorgeous. There's lots of fire. It's very dangerous. It's a very dangerous map where you can actually die easily if you aren't careful. There's lots of fiery explosions everywhere, rivers of lava going into the ocean even. It's really nice. I think it'll look really cool, and the way everyone's been describing it, I think it's gonna look beautiful. If you remember playing Guild Wars 1, you think about the Maguma jungle, and remember when Heart of Thorns came out and you were like, well, we did go to the Maguma jungle in Guild Wars 1, I wonder how it'll look in Guild Wars 2, and it looked beautiful. Now just think about the Fire Island chain here the exact same way. It's gonna look pretty amazing, I think. So where does this take us with the story? Well, if you finished episode 1, and this is spoiler alert right here, hopefully you finished episode 1, otherwise I'm gonna spoil the entire ending right now. Primordus was known to be active. So could this mean that we may be facing Primordus? We may encounter Primordus in one of these areas. We do know that Taimi told us that she wanted to take a look at this Primordus activity. Maybe she is at the Fire Island chain. Maybe we're gonna go there to check up on her. Maybe we're actually gonna see Primordus. We're gonna see some activity. Who knows? But it seems like That's sort of where the story is heading to, especially considering the fact that episode 1 ended on that note. However, it's also important to realize we did have one of the Mersat come back. We do still have the White Mantle. This story can lead in many different angles, like I've said in a previous video. I like the fact that we have so many routes that the story can go to, so this can be really surprising and exciting to see where the story takes us to this new region, whether it will be with Primordus, whether it will be with the Mersat. If you remember in Guild Wars 1, the Mersat were actually there. That was their last place that they were in the Fire Island chain. So it's going to be interesting what we see there when we actually go there. Now, as we know, whenever a new map comes, we do get new achievements, we do get a new mastery track, we do get new weapon sets and new armor skins. All of that has been confirmed. But this map is particularly interesting because it does bring back something that Guild Wars 2 has tried not to implement into these new maps, which is renowned hearts. Now, these renowned hearts are apparently repeatable on a daily basis. So just like you're doing your daily achievements and your daily gathering, daily PvP, you know, those daily achievements you get the 2 gold from, just like you're doing your daily Bloodstone defense stuff, just like you're doing anything you do daily, there's going to be these daily hearts that you can do as well. And apparently these are going to give you some pretty good rewards. So I'm very curious why they decided to bring these hearts back. Maybe they switched it up a bit and made them a bit more fun. A lot of people didn't like the old heart system, which is why they kind of moved away from it, and they focused a bit more on map meta events, and they focused a bit more on different events in the map. But now they're bringing back hearts, so I'm really curious how these new hearts are gonna work. They are repeatable when they do give you lots of rewards, apparently really good rewards, so maybe this is another great way to make some gold. Who knows? We'll find out if I end up making a video on it for the easy gold trick guide, right? But it's a pretty interesting change, and I'm looking forward to see what they do with it. Another interesting change is that there's not going to be many more waypoints. I don't even know if there's going to be any waypoints at all, but it seems like there may only be one, if not any, waypoints in the map, which is pretty interesting to me because a lot of people recently have said they don't like the waypoint system. They want to be a bit more immersive. It seems like the waypoint system just takes away from the game. For me, it isn't really a personal struggle with me. I mean, yes, I love walking around in Skyrim. I mean, yes, we have fast travel, but I love walking from one side of the map to the other side of the map, right? I guess it's a cool, neat little addition where they're taking away waypoints, but I feel like a lot of people are going to get angry because some people really like waypoints. But apparently there's a new way to travel. They will add a brand new mastery track in the Ancient Magics. There's going to be a second mastery tier now that is called Thermal Propulsion. Apparently it's going to be something like the new Hawk Wallows, but a bit more explosive. They're going to be fiery jumps that are very explosive. They're similar to the jump pads that we had in Core Tyria. I know a lot of people like the jump pads. I really like the jump pads as well. So perhaps this new mastery track that we're going to get is sort of going to be a mix between the jump pads and a mix between the new Hawk Wallows. And that seems really interesting and sounds like a lot of fun. There's also something called the Aura Borealis Superhighway that allows you to fly around the entire island, and this is most likely going to be leyline gliding. So if you have not done your gliding mastery yet, have gotten it up to leyline gliding, I suggest you get on that because it's going to make traveling a lot faster, especially with no waypoints in the map. Especially with the fact that this is going to be a dangerous map with lots of fire. You can die fairly quickly. Be aware that you may want to get leyline gliding, level that up. You have 2 weeks to get it because there is going to be this super highway, they're calling it in one of the articles. I don't exactly know what it is, but I'm imagining it's the leyline gliding that you have to do. So there is something like that where you can apparently go on and then you can pick a spot where you want to get off and you can just jump off. Sounds really interesting, so make sure you have leyline gliding. But there's going to be different forms of transportation around this map. It's a nice new twist and I'm looking forward to it. It does spice the map up a bit more rather than just, you know, clicking waypoints all the time like we're used to doing. But we are aware now that there is going to be a new mastery track in the Ancient Magics. track, where there's a second tier which is called thermal propulsions, and that's the way of traveling if you don't have ley line gliding, I guess. So it's not really a must to have ley line gliding, but you do have another option of travel, so why not get it? There's also going to be a new jumping puzzle that seems to be really well done, that a lot of people are going to enjoy, so look forward to that. But what's really interesting to me is to see how much different the map will be. Earlier on in the video I said that Mordremoth and Zaitan are probably affecting the area in the map, and that could be true if you think about it. Mordremoth's death was relatively close to the Fire Island chain. It was, near Radasum, at the end of Dragon's Stand, where the ocean is, and that's relatively close to the Fire Island chain. Then we have Zaitan, which is in the ruins of Ore. A lot of that activity is going on. We had the ships there, most likely, and maybe we'll see some of that. It seems like we may see some Risen, we may see some Mordrim there, maybe we'll see some remains, maybe we'll see some corpses, but it can be really interesting to see what we'll see there, as well as to see what time has done to the area. We've gone through time from Guild Wars 1 to Guild Wars 2, so it'll be interesting to see what time has done to the area and what all these other effects have done to the area as well. What we also know is that it's going to be heavily centralized around Skrit. I'm not really sure why they decided to go with that. I guess it sort of makes sense a little bit because the Skrit like treasure, and I guess because it's near the ocean, you could probably pass something with pirates through that map. That's kind of what they're doing. They're doing something along the line with pirates and queens and all this stuff, and I guess Skrit were the greatest fit for it. I'm not sure if I like that idea entirely though, because it does seem like a very dangerous place. And with the lore that we get from Guild Wars 1, and with the way the map just is, I don't know if it really fits to have the Skrit in there. But who knows, maybe they pulled off really well and it'll actually be really fun. It'll make the map very fun. However, we do know that Skrit are going to be there. There's also going to be a new consumable that is called the Skrit Contract, which will have a Skrit dig through piles of junk to find treasure, and that seems really interesting. We also know that the map is going to be multi-layer again. However, it is going to be more flat. Like Verdant Brink and Auric Basin, they weren't very flat. They were very high in verticality. We had multiple layers, especially Verdant Brink, who had multiple layers. We had a layer on the bottom, a layer in the middle, which was like the main layer. And then we had a pretty large layer on top again. It was sort of like a burrito. It's not going to be like a burrito anymore. That's the terminology that I heard in one of the videos. But it's going to be a mixture of flatland and some multi-level areas. It's not going to be an entire multi-layer, second layer on top of it. There's just going to be certain areas. Think of it like Auric Basin when you're walking through the city of Tarir, and then above you there's a few places that you can go all the way to the top level and then you can jump down. Think of it like that, but on a bit less of a level. There's going to be certain areas you can go in the second level, certain areas you can go into the bottom level, and sort of like Bloodstone Fen, I guess. That was a really well done map as well. It didn't have, an entire layer on top of layer on top of layer. It had certain areas where you can go on top, certain areas where you can go down at the bottom. But that's kind of the map that we're looking at. And apart from that, that's all the information that we got on PvE. On to the PvP news, and if you like PvP, this is going to be some pretty exciting news, and pretty surprising news as well, because there's going to be another new PvP map coming to the game, and this is going to be an entirely new map. It's not going to be one that's revamped and brought back. This is an entirely new map, and apparently ArenaNet are trying a lot of new mechanics that have never been put into the game to add to this new PvP map and to add in the future as well, which is really exciting because PvP can change a bit now, and maybe it'll be a bit more exciting, maybe it'll be a bit more fun with all these new mechanics that are being included. But right now, the new map is called the Eternal Coliseum, and it is a conquest map, and it does feature buffs that you can capture. Think of Stronghold, and you know how you can go up to the Mist Champions to basically commune with the Mist Champion, with the Mist Champion thing that goes up to the sky. I forget what the actual word is, but you have to commune with it, and when you commune with it, you basically get a Mist Champion. Well, think of it like that. There's certain buffs that you can pick up in this map that will either give you an offensive boost or a defensive boost. You can either pick up a buff that basically instantly kills anybody that is downed for a certain amount of time, or you can pick up a defensive buff that will give you 5,000 health and will give you healing and shielding, and it will give you a free revive. If you happen to die and be downed, you can automatically get a free life and be revived again. Think of it like the fractal attunement, where if you die you come back with a certain amount of health. That's kind of how it'll be. And that seems really interesting because those are new mechanics to a Conquest style map, and it can make some really game-changing moves if you happen to have those buffs. Another interesting feature they're adding is crowds cheering for you, booing for you, reacting positively, reacting negatively. This is something that's really interesting to me. I never thought that Guild Wars 2 would have such a mechanic where the crowd would be actually reacting to your playstyle and reacting to how well the teams are doing. I just never saw it coming, but it seems to make sense since it is a Coliseum and you can fit people in there, I guess, to watch the match. It's an interesting little twist, an interesting little feature and addition that's kind of fun, you know, it's a little fun addition, and I'm really excited to see it because I really want to see how it looks like. Apparently, rumor has it that the cheers and the boos are from the ArenaNet employees themselves in a big meeting, so it'll be pretty funny to hear how the audio actually sounds like, and it's just something cool that I thought was really interesting that they added. It's also a rather very big map. The biggest map that I know, I think, is, Legacy is not too big. I think Temple of the Silent Storm is a fairly large map. Forest of Niflhel is kind of large too. But apparently this Coliseum map is going to be maybe even bigger than those maps. It's a pretty big map. It has lots of ramps and lots of towers that you can climb on to battle on, and that seems really interesting. You could have like small skirmishes between, you know, a part of a team fighting in one side of the map, another part of the team fighting another side of the map, and you have small little skirmishes like that can actually turn the tide. But it's really interesting to see how they'll have these ramps and towers you can go on top of and capture points and fight on top of these structures. It seems really interesting and something that we haven't really seen in the PvP area. So we'll just have to see how the map looks. Fortunately, there will be a preview of this map in the World Championship show. You will be able to see it if you are watching the World Championship for Guild Wars 2 PvP on September 17th. They will be showing off the map. So I guess it's a nice little way to incentivize people to watch the show, because as we know, PvP is not very popular in the community right now, but maybe if they show off the new PvP map, people will watch, and it gives them it gives you an incentive to watch it. I'll definitely be looking out for it because I'm really interested in this new map. We were also told that festivals coming, new festivals that are coming. I'm guessing this is the Halloween festival and probably the Christmas festival, and maybe we'll have like a January festival. I think there was like a festival in January or February that they had, and they never brought it back. I forget the name of it now, but apparently they're going to be making new changes to festivals, adding all kinds of new rewards to festivals. Some of the articles made an impact on that to mention it, so I'm guessing ArenaNet does have something interesting planned for festivals coming up, but we'll only have to wait and see. There wasn't much talk around that. It was just hyped up a bit. And the last piece of news that we have, aside from War vs. World, which I'll go over in just a second, is that on September 13th, we will get the reveal trailer for all of this. Maybe it'll be like a short little trailer again like we got for episode 1, where we'll show off the story and maybe we'll show off the map a little bit, short little 20-second clip maybe. That's coming out September 13th, so watch out for that, and definitely when that releases, we'll make a video on that, taking a look at it, talking about it if there's anything to talk about, and there'll be a video up for that as well. Lastly, I want to talk about War vs. World. As you know, the slow progression of the War vs. World overhaul is continuously going, and apparently now we do have skirmishes as well. In fact, coming September 9th, which is only a few days from now, I think. Today's what, the 7th, I believe? The 8th? Today's the 7th. So September 9th, we are getting skirmishes added to War vs. World. These are basically matches that are still going to be a week long. However, these skirmishes are going to be split into 2-hour time slices, and during a skirmish, players will earn a war score, but this war score is now going to be used to determine the winner of each skirmish. When each 2-hour skirmish ends, the war score is reset, but the actual map and state and objective status will remain the same. So the point of these skirmishes is basically to give some of the losing teams a better chance to come back. It's also to help ensure that there aren't too many runaway matches caused by off-hour coverage. It's just sort of enhancing the War vs. World experience and allowing a 2-hour period to get a bunch of points. And it's just a way for you to have skirmishes to then get victory points depending on what place you placed in. If you placed in first, second, or third, you'll basically get victory points, and then based on how many victory points you have every 2 hours, that will basically determine the overall match victor. So I guess you could sort of think of it like a larger tick timer of every 2 hours. I guess that's how it's going to work. I'm not too familiar with it. We'll have to see how it works. But it is nice to see that War vs. World is getting the attention that it needs, and it is slowly progressing. They are focusing a bit more on the scoring objectives and trying to fix that, because a lot of people wanted the scoring to be reevaluated, and then they're going to be heading on to some of the quality of life improvements and changing some of the ways the upgrades and structures work. But it's great to see that War vs. World is getting updates, and week after week I am playing a little more War vs. World here and there. You know, I'm actually going in to do a dailies. It does interest me to go in a bit more, and they're doing a pretty good job at it. It's slow progress, but hopefully it turns out for the better. And that's pretty much all the news we have for today. That was the information that we got from PAX. That was the new map there, the new PvP map, and the War vs. World updates that we have. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you found it informative. If anything excites you, leave it in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you think is the most exciting thing about this map. If you're looking forward to the Ember Bay map, I surely am. And if you want to talk about anything in the comment section, I'll obviously be down there answering questions you have, talking to you as usual. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go and subscribe. Lots of other Guild Wars 2 content on the channel. Lots of Guild Wars 2 guides, gold tricks. We do news discussions, updates like these. We talk about the state of the game. We do Q&A. Lots of cool stuff Guild Wars 2 related, as well as general gaming related stuff as well. So if you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe. Leave the video a like if you could do so, if you enjoyed the way I did the video. I also have a Patreon page. You want to donate $1, anything as low as that is very helpful, very much appreciated. All you gotta do is click the card in the top right hand corner of the screen and it'll bring you to the page. I also have a tutorials channel, music channel, vlogging channel, and advice channel. You want to check any of that out. Links are in the description as well as on the end card. And that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching as always, and this is GSmaniamsmart, and I'll be back sooner than you think. Don't go anywhere.